I basically called and I was saying that I more or less take the opposite view of atheism. Where atheists don't see enough evidence to convince them that there's such a thing as God, I don't see enough evidence to convince me that the universe could have come into existence without the need of a creative being. And that's what we sort of talked about. We went around talking about that.
So what would be evidence for you of something that would be a natural universal outcome?
Well, that's the thing. That was
like, what evidence do you expect to see that you don't see?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I got any of my.
So you don't see evidence of a natural universe, but you don't know what the evidence would be that you'd expect to see for a natural universe.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. Like, any of my friends and family that know me, they know I have a very big, huge imagination. I always get accused of having a overactive imagination, and I can't even rack my imagination and imagine how the universe could have come into existence without some kind of higher intelligent creative being that brought it into existence. I just can't see how that could be possible.
Okay, do you see evidence of a being that creates universes?
Okay, without appealing to a personal life experience.
What personal life experience you do without appealing to a personal life experience? You're saying that you do see evidence that there is a being that creates universes. Is that what I understood?
Yeah.
Okay, what is this evidence for the being that you say is responsible for universes?
Oh, okay, good. That's another one of the things we talked about as well. The emergence and explosion of the early Christian church under such hostile conditions.
Yeah, that's not really convincing. There are things that happen strangely all through history that are expected, unexpected, whatever, big surprising things that you wouldn't really think could occur that do. Historic events that are not super, some sort of weird supernatural thing. I really don't know how that would be evidence of something that creates universes.
Okay, well, given the Christian claim, the whole thing behind it, right? This is appealing to my personal life experience a little bit, but just the natural aspects that go along with my personal life experience that come with the territory of the life I lived. Okay, I told you this as well in the last call. Where I became a Christian, where I gave my life to Christ, was when I was going in and out of custody, because my late teens to early 20s was spent largely in jail. Always in and out of jail.
Okay.
And so when hearing the Christian claim, because, I investigated that possibility because I'd heard and saw many different people who overcame criminality by giving their life to Christ. So obviously I would look at that avenue as a possibility to help me escape from a criminal life. And when listening to the Christian claim and looking at the history, I had to ask myself and say, okay, if I was alive during that time and I stood before a judge and the judge told me all I had to do is stop stealing cars and return me to my normal life, and if I don't, he's going to feed me to the lions, well, I'd stop stealing cars in a second. So it doesn't jive or make sense to me that these people would say, go ahead, feed us to the lions, we'll never renounce. Okay,
so you don't believe in martyr? You think that martyrdom in a religion means the religion's claims are all true?
Oh, but see, with martyrism and any other claim in history, martyrism usually sparks a military uprising. But for the first 3.5 centuries,
there are tons of Buddhist martyrs who don't take up arms, that are pacifist. Some of them even self-immolate, but they're not. I mean, I don't know that there's been like very much aggression in Buddhism for centuries. I mean, but there's definitely Buddhist martyrs.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm just saying that martyrdom is not proof of that there is a being in existence that has the power to and is creating universes. I'm asking where you see that. I'm not really asking about the claims in Christianity. Whether or not Christianity is true would be irrelevant to the fact that there would be a being that we can demonstrate exists that creates universes. Like, where is that being, right? Like, the cause, you're claiming that the cause of the universe is, I'm assuming, what you would call God. And what I'm saying is that for something to cause other things, and I think we did discuss this, that things that do not exist cannot be the cause of other things. So if there was a being that produced universes, it either does exist or did exist at one point. And so then the question would be, where or how do we access that being or the evidence of that being's past existence? I'm not really asking about the Christian claims, because whether it's a Christian God or a Muslim God or just some other being or whatever is kind of irrelevant to the question of where is the evidence that for this being? Where is it? Where would it reside? Where would we look for it? What would we expect to find?
Okay. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. Okay, so what I'm saying is I see the Christian claim, how the Christian church, how Christianity came to be, the extraordinary hostile conditions that it came up in. I see that as evidence of divine intervention, that happened by...
Okay, but what I'm saying is you keep saying there's this result that I'm claiming a God is responsible for. And what I'm saying is unless the God exists, it's not responsible for anything. I can say that my toaster keeps burning my toast because of gremlins. But unless I can demonstrate somehow gremlins, I'm just making a claim that, this outcome is caused by this thing that I can't even demonstrate. What I'm asking you is, can you demonstrate that this God is there to be causing these weird things that you think are impossible without a God in the Christian church, to be causing a universe that you think can't be caused without this God? You keep saying, here's the results that I think the God, and this God is causing this, and this God is causing that. And I'm like, if there's no God, then it's not causing any of this. So we need to separate. I'm trying to get you to separate the things that you're claiming God does. And so how do we get a look at God to determine that God does do these things that you're saying it does?
Oh, okay. Well, see there, yeah. God, there's no test, there's no scientific experiment or test man can do to find God. God can only be shown if God so chooses to show himself.
So you're saying there's no way to examine your claims that there's a God behind these things that you think, that you're just simply saying a God has to be causing it.
And why? Okay, now I'm going to go to this next part. Because the last.
But wait a minute, before you move on. Okay, just look at the problem that I'm dealing with here. I'm trying to understand, but what I'm dealing with is my toaster is burning the toast. Gremlins keep messing with the toaster to make it burn the toast. Why would Tracie say that? And I say, because what else would be burning the toast? And you start to tell me, and I say, no, I reject that. Only gremlins could be causing this. So you say, well, Tracie, do you see gremlins anywhere? And I say, well, they can only be seen when they choose to manifest. So I've got a problem here because I'm asserting that these little beings are doing something, but I'm not really demonstrating the little beings. And if they don't exist, then something else is burning the toast. Whether I believe the gremlins are doing it or not is irrelevant. If I can't demonstrate gremlins, they're not burning the toast.
Right. Okay, I agree.
Or they may not, I don't know.
Right, I agree with you there, that it could be something as simple as you have a malfunctioning toaster that's not working properly and you just have to get the circuits fixed. Or your analogy, it could actually be invisible gremlins that are messing with the circuitry. I'm not saying it is, I'm saying it could be.
Right, but I'm saying convince me that it's not.
Convince you that it's not.
Not the gremlins.
Well, I don't know if it is or not. Like,
okay, but do you believe me? Do you think that it's reasonable for me to assert that it is? If I can't demonstrate them, and if I tell you that there's no way to examine them and there's no way to prove that these things are, but I'm going to continue to say that something that I can't even confirm exists is causing things.
I'll tell you what, Tracie. If you're having the problem with one toaster and you go get that toaster fixed or even replace it and you go get a brand new toaster and then you keep having that problem again and again and again, and every time you put a toaster in a certain geographical location in your house, it does this, but if you plug it into any other receptacle, it doesn't, well, then I would say you have evidence that there must be something supernatural going on.
Why?
Or it could be that receptacle. So then if you get the receptacle, you get an electrician to look at the receptacle and fix the receptacle and look at and go through every possibility that the receptacle's fine. And every time you plug this toaster into the receptacle, just with you and nobody else, it's doing something. Well, then I would say you got evidence that there's something else going on and it can't be explained in a naturalistic frame.
Does it mean gremlins?
Something supernatural. It doesn't necessarily.
Why would you think it's something supernatural? When you can't find a cause, why would you jump to supernatural? Is there evidence that the claim is supernatural? No, you've only said we haven't found a natural cause. You have not demonstrated a supernatural cause.
Okay. How can you demonstrate if there's a supernatural cause if you think that everything that happens must have a natural cause?
By demonstrating the supernatural.
But how can you demonstrate the supernatural if
that's up to you, because that's what you have to do. That's what you're basically saying. You're basically saying I don't have to demonstrate my cause because I'm just going to label it supernatural. So I'm not. There is no burden on me to demonstrate the cause. All I have to do is say I don't accept the natural explanations, and that makes it supernatural, and that's incorrect. You have not demonstrated there is supernatural at all.
No, I'm saying that if I have gone through every possible way that it could have a naturalistic claim.
How do you know you've gone through every possible way that it could be naturally explained? How do you know this? How do you know that there's not a natural explanation you haven't overlooked?
Every possible way that can be explained in this way. So then if I've gone through every possible way that I can imagine and anybody else is and it's still doing the same thing.
And you still have to demonstrate your supernatural exists, or you cannot just simply say, you would just, at that point, the only honest thing would be to say, I don't know what's causing this.
Okay, but what if that is evidence of the supernatural?
It's not. It's evidence that you don't know what's causing it.
Do you know that that's not evidence that's
Yes, because evidence of the supernatural would demonstrate the supernatural actually exists. If you can't demonstrate the supernatural exists, and you say, I've tried every natural explanation I can think of, you are left with, I do not know what is causing this because we have no demonstration that there really is a supernatural. And all of the natural explanations we have exhausted, and we still do not have an answer. The answer does not just default to supernatural. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
okay, but it does warrant investigation.
Yes, I would love to investigate, and I would love to find evidence if there is supernatural so that we could start examining how the supernatural functions and how it causes things. That would be a really stunning thing to discover.
Okay, all right. So that's what I'm saying, right? So I'm saying, fine, you don't get to just jump to the supernatural, but you can say, let's investigate and look at it and see if this has got a supernatural cause.
I think anybody would want to investigate something that they don't understand or don't know. If I don't know what's causing something, investigating is absolutely the proper step.
Okay. All right, so that is the process. Like, don't just think I jumped on Christianity one day. Like 7 years from 92 to 99, where I looked at it from all different perspectives and sides. And then finally I said, okay, I'll give it a try. But it didn't just end there. Like, I'm giving you my personalized experience of it, but I'm just trying to let you know that I did go through this whole process. And so I put it to the test. I tried it. I looked at it from various different perspectives. And
yeah, so... First off, where does your personal experience inform you about something that happened at the beginning of the universe? I mean, you say it doesn't just relate back to Christianity, but if I told you that I invented a time machine and I created the universe, would you believe me? Mark,
well, unless you
I went back in time.
Machine, probably not.
Okay, then do I have the same? Am I on the same level as your God? Would you say that it's equally likely that Eric created the universe and my God created the universe?
Well, like I said, if you could show me a time machine, then fine. I would say, all right, I believe that.
Okay, so can you have the same standard of evidence for your God?
Well, I sort of do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Then...
But this is appeal to personal life experience, like I said. Like, it's not...
Yeah, and I think that the underpinnings of that isn't completely honest. That's why I'm picking at it, because I want to see if that's true. I also think that when it comes to talking about things that you don't understand, right? Tracie had it absolutely right. It's saying, I don't know. Like that's where you stop. You know, you stop trying to come up with answers when you don't have answers, and you say, I don't know, and you continue to investigate. And if you don't know, and you don't know by the time you die, you leave it for the next generation to pick up. You don't just get to say, you know, my God or Eric went back in time and created the universe. So when you called in, you were saying that you're not convinced that God didn't create the universe. That doesn't really seem like a great way to start. I mean, how about I don't know how the universe was created, or if it was created? I mean, really, wouldn't that be the more honest thing to say?
Interesting. Okay.
Because otherwise, I'm going to open my own church.
Interesting. I see.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, I want to say, first of all, I appreciated your last call, and I appreciate this call. We do have some other callers. But I thank you for your input, and it's always interesting. So if it's okay, we'll go ahead and kind of hold on that. You can think about that, maybe call back another time, you know, after you've had time to process it and come up with, you know, your ideas on it. You don't have to respond at this moment. And we'll go ahead and move on to some other calls if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, thank you.